Okay, I figure when I make stuff like this, I like to just sort of like get into a flow with it and just keep going. So, um, the next one I'm going to do right now is Aries and Libra. Now, these are two cardinal signs, and again, we're running into the opposition between an air sign on one hand and a fire sign on the other. So we've already done Sagittarius and Gemini, which had this combination, and we already did Leo and Aquarius, which had this combination of the fire-air opposition. So this is the last um, fire-air opposition we're gonna do. Um, Now, this we're going to see some repetition in themes with this because when we did Leo Aquarius, we were talking about the opposition of a sign, the solar sign Leo versus the Saturn sign Aquarius, right? So, in Aries, it's related to this opposition between Leo and Aquarius because Aries is the exaltation of the sun and Libra is the exaltation of Saturn, right? Um, and so all that stuff I was talking about in Leo Aquarius also applies to the Libra Aries opposition. Now it's a bit different though because Aries is ruled by Mars and Libra is ruled by Venus, right? So with the thing about the Sun and the Saturn, there's more of this kind of like the protagonist or the king or the sort of like it's more of the fixedness kind of represents a kind of established kind of kingdom and the responsibilities that go with this, being inheriting this kind of position or something like that. There's more of a sense of maybe power, I think, in Leo Aquarius and the responsibilities that come with power. Whereas when you look at Aries and Libra, because we're talking more about the Venus Mars level, you automatically bring in more of the relational level, maybe between husband and wife or friends or something like that. It brings it down more to the personal level than being maybe like responsible for a big organization or politics or something like that. And there's this whole thing where I was thinking about this before making the video because one of the things I'm trying to do is trying to get away from what you call the 12-letter alphabet style of generating associations. And so it's kind of hard to do because a lot of what I'm talking about when it comes to Aries and Libra does work. I think there is a reason why the 12-letter alphabet being popular, but part of this thing about talking about Venus and Saturn, a lot of the themes that come up have to do with relationships and commitment and compromise and stuff like that. And I think you can get that from a Venus sign, Libra, from Saturn in a Venus sign, Saturn exalted in a Venus sign, and bring in what I was talking about with Leo Aquarius, but move that, position it into the relational axis with Venus, right? Venus and Mars, these more personal planets. And I'm doing all that without talking about the seventh house at all. But now, I feel like I have to kind of bring it in though to say that it does work with the 12-letter alphabet, but I'm using my rationale based on planetary rulership and exaltation dignity. That's a bit just like technical, showing my work in a way of like I don't know if you're interested in that stuff or not, but so what I was saying, the commitment and all of these kind of things with Libra, it's the idea of the individual versus the compromise in relationship. And I kind of was doing kind of things like on one hand, Libra is like this, and on the other hand, Aries is like that. So I kind of on one hand, Libra is more about making an agreement or a commitment or a harmonious relationship. Aries is kind of more like the freedom, like I can do what I want. I don't have to worry about making sure it's all okay with the wife or the partner or something like that. It's more of like this individual, like I'm just gonna do what I feel like doing today. That's more of the Aries thing, and in a sense that, I guess in another way where we looked at how when we were talking about the Pisces Virgo thing, I was talking about it as these are things in motion, right? That the Virgo was like planning for the future, and Pisces was more like remembering the past, right? Well, in this sense, Aries is sort of like the start of something new, whereas Libra is more like the commitment to something old. You see what I'm saying? It's like almost like reversed. Like your Aries is like Aries has the kind of reputation where they love like starting new projects, but the question is, it's like, are you actually committed to see it through, right? So that is kind of how you see these two complement each other. There's the kind of the pioneering spirit to like, let's get it going, versus the commitment to stick it through and see it to completion, basically, right? And that's how they work cooperatively, but there's also some tension between these two different drives or impulses, right? So I kind of did I'll see if I'll I don't know. I'm kind of debating whether I should sort of put an image, throw an image on here where I can lay down some of the things I've written, but I'll just go over it anyways. I did a kind of pro and con list between the Aries side of things and the Libra side of things, as if they're kind of arguing their points, right? So for the argument for the Libra side of things would be for stability, security, and it's like fulfilling some kind of a role, right? Like if you're committed in relationship, it also is sort of like committed to maybe like the role of a family dynamic, and there's certain responsibilities and commitments that come with it, but it gives your life some kind of a meaning, right? With Aries, on the other hand, it's like you're not, you know, you don't quite have that same reliable, stable thing, but you're open to all sorts of new opportunities, right? You're somebody who's like, if something comes up and people say like, hey, there's this, you know, there's this job opportunity, another city, do you want to go move? All right, I'm ready to go. I'll pack my bags tomorrow, kind of thing, right? Aries is all about like, let's just start something different, start something new, right? Whereas Libra might be like, sorry, I'm already committed to all these projects, I can't do it, right? You don't have, not as open to as many options. And so like this is what you have to understand, bringing it back to Mars and Venus. Venus has this sort of character of the feminine impulse is uniting, connecting, belonging, working together, cooperating. You get what I'm saying? Contrast that with Mars. Mars is more about, it's like Mars has to do with cutting, right? Severing. It's like burning the bridges, severing the ties. Screw you, I'm doing my own thing, right? It's like more of this self-assertive kind of thing. And in the way, like, they're both important because, like, sometimes, let's say it's like you're recovering from a toxic relationship, you know, it's like, that's what the part of the big, we were talking about this, the opposition between these two signs. It's really like, this can be this question of like, should I stay or should I go, right? Like, you know, that Clash song, that's the total Aries Libra opposition. It's like, do I stay and try to make compromises and work things out, or do I just book it and like start something different, kind of thing, right? And it's not like either one of those are right, but these are like two sides that are in like a dialect with each other, right? And that this isn't just, it's not necessarily always about relationships. You could also apply the same thing to other stuff going on in life. Sorry, my speaking of relationships, that's my girlfriend's cell phone going off. So I'm just, I don't know. Okay, well, I think here I'm taking more of an Aries role. I'm not going to bother with the somebody else's cell phone. I'm sticking to my own project at the moment. Then the cons of the two different sides of it. The possible cons of the Libra side of things is that, for one thing, commitment kills off the other possibilities. When you're committing to one course of action, all the other possibilities that you could do are now null and void, right? Unless, of course, you later just, but I think it might have been Kierkegaard, or there's a lot of existentialists who talk about this problem. Like, you only have so many things you can do in life. You only have you can only be at one place at a time. You can only make, it's like, are you going to go to university and study this, or are you going to go and do that? Are you going to go join the military, or are you going to go and like stay home? Or are you going to like, you can't have your cake and eat it too, and each time you make a choice, it negates the other option, right? And Libra is all about, like, once you've made your choice, committing to it and following it through, but the more you do that, the more it closes. It's more of like a tunnel vision kind of thing. It negates room for other options, right? And so, like, that's the whole kind of thing, is you better make sure what you're committed to is worth it, because then you could be committed to something that's really turns out to be like an unhappy marriage or a toxic relationship or something that's just unfulfilling and not meeting your needs, and you're like, is this really all worth it kind of thing, right? And the other thing too is that, like, it could be the point where you see the value of being, playing this role either in like a family or in some sort of thing you're committed to, but it becomes you're just overburdened by the sense of duty and responsibility. And if I don't show up, everything's gonna fall apart, and it's all on me. And this is the Saturn thing, right? When Saturn is exalted, this is what the Saturn influence is it takes on this responsibility, this duty, and that you can hear the echoes of what I was saying in Leo Aquarius, right? So the flip side of that was, what's the problem with Aries now, right? Those are the problems with Libra. What are the problems with Aries? Is that it's too much on the Aries side of it. Aries could be a bit of, just seems like a bit of a loose cannon, basically. Like, the person isn't really, might be a bit of a, you might have the impression of a bit of a flake. Like, can I really trust this person with responsibilities? They say one thing and then they just kind of go off and do something different, right? It's sort of like that is like maybe the Aries problem. It's they're like you're like, I really don't feel like this person's committed at all. Like, I don't really know if can you make plans with this person? Will they follow through? What's going on? Like, who knows, right? It could be like Aries could be the person you're having like a business meeting and you're like, is Aries even showing up? I don't know. They're like, like they're not, and that could be Aries is like the first person to get fired, whereas the Libra, who's more committed, becomes more part of, but they take on more responsibilities. Meanwhile, Aries is like, they're free but they don't have a job, right? That's an extreme kind of polarity between Aries and Libra, right? And so that the whole thing about, let's say, maybe whether they have a job or not, the con to Aries is like being aimlessly unattached. Like, you've got all your freedom, you're a free spirit, nothing's holding you down, but like, what are you doing, right? Like, what's the point? Like, are you I think I don't know if us fire signs get this a lot, but people are you're like, what are you doing with your life? You're just, so this is, I feel like the shadow of the Aries is kind of like the aimless bachelor life. Like, you're just kind of like, oh, everything's great, I don't have to worry about anything, but it's like this existential vacuum. Like, it's just kind of like, you need to find some kind of meaning, some kind of purpose or something like that. And just freedom without any commitment feels a bit empty, right? You need to balance it with something, right? And so I think that's pretty much, that's it. That's what I've got for Libra and Aries right now. Hope you enjoyed that one. By the way, I decided the whole time I was wearing this t-shirt, I thought this would be a good one to show off my whole, like, the mirror t-shirt. It's fit. This is like the kind of the opposition thing, right? Like, good Spock, bad Spock, right? So I thought it would work for this video.